Yo, welcome back. And as I was saying before, I was gonna make a video on how I think an X-Men movie should be because I think they go about it the wrong way, and I hope Disney gets it right. But Disney is in a very questionable phase right now, where I don't I don't trust a damn thing they do. Uh, but I think they should do it right. I mean, they have something here that they could really build from the ground up, and if they approach it from the right direction, then it'll be great. But with all this talk about diversity and inclusion, I'm pretty sure they're gonna just skip right over the original team to the more popular incarnations instead of lay the foundation and build off it. So for what I do for a first X-Men movie, I would not include the more popular characters just to, you know, try to cash in on that. I would really go back to the beginning and build from the ground up. And how I'd like to do that is with the original X-Men. I would have Xavier, Cyclops, Jean, Beast, Angel, Iceman, and Mimic. A lot of people don't, a lot of I guess general audiences wouldn't be familiar with Mimic. He's pretty much a guy who could copy and use all the powers of the X-Men around him. He had the wings of the Angel, the blast of Cyclops, the powers of Jean, the the physical build of Beast and the jumps. And then he had the ability to freeze like Iceman. What I'd do is I'd go with the original X-Men. Xavier, Cyclops, Jean, Beast, Angel, Iceman, Mimic, and I'd pit them against the original Brotherhood: Magneto, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Mastermind, and Toad. And yes, Scarlet Witch has already became an Avenger in the MCU, but it would not, and Quicksilver is admittedly dead. But it would not be hard to get around all that very simplistically. As for other characters, I'd go ahead and usher in Moira. Well, not. I'd go ahead and usher in Moira, Polaris, and Havoc in the movie. And what I'd really do, I'd just go with the Brotherhood of Mutants. They attack a hate group that's targeting Scarlet Witch, the Friends of Humanity, and through saving her, they kind of manipulate Scarlet Witch to join them on the promise that her brother is alive. And I would go as far as the school. I would have Xavier get served a notice that calls him to attend a hearing. His school is accused of weaponizing and radicalizing mutants due to his ties with hate group terrorist leader Magneto. His school, it gets shut down. Students are dismissed, but the original five stick around. Cyclops convinces Xavier to stand up to Magneto and show the world mutants are good, a force of good. Uh, I'd have Jean and Beast. Jean, in the comics, she made their outfits, but I'd have Jean and Beast make like tactical outfits for training as they train through the danger room. And I'd go with I'd have it where Magneto was the one that invented the danger room. Xavier explains their history, that they built the school together, but Magneto started building the danger room with the intent to go to war. They wouldn't perform as well as a team in the danger room when it comes time for Cyclops and all them to get down in the danger room and start working as a team to train. They wouldn't perform that well. I would have their danger room sessions due to Mimic's egotistical and dickish behavior and Iceman's immature joking behavior. I would have their danger rooms be somewhat of a problematic failure. But when it comes to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, I'd have a resurrected Quicksilver. Maybe you could have Scarlet Witch do it, like have Magneto show her how to use her powers to resurrect her brother. Or maybe you could already have a back. Or maybe you could have it all be a trick of Mastermind. that a resurrected Quicksilver would convince Scarlet Witch to work with Magneto, revealed to be their biological father, Quicksilver, saying they owe Magneto his life because, you know, uh, and their first fight against the Brotherhood, I'd have it result in defeat for the X-Men as Mimic is revealed to be a traitor. Scarlet Witch convinces her brother to save them from a building that's coming down on them. Xavier gets knocked into an unconscious state and injured badly. Moira McTaggart comes in with Polaris, Havoc, and Jean discovers that Havoc is Cyclops' brother and Polaris is Magneto's daughter, and that Xavier knew. The Friends of Humanity attack the hospital where Xavier is in care. The hospital refuses to keep Xavier as a patient. Hot-headed Havoc attacks the mob, not listening to reason. The Brotherhood shows up, interferes, gives them an ultimatum to join, and Havoc go ahead. He joins the Brotherhood because here they are getting kicked out of a hospital. Getting kicked out of the hospital because Xavier's a mutant, but they can't leave the hospital either because the Friends of Humanity are coming to attack them, and then you have Magneto come in and interfere, run interference for them. So Havoc decides to sign up with the enemy, which would have an effect and a negative impact on Polaris. After getting Xavier back to the X-Men mansion, caring for him, uh, the discussion would ensue about Havoc being Cyclops' brother, Professor knowing about it, Polaris being Magneto's daughter. Cyclops would push his feelings down to the side. This would all be great material to work off building the relationship between him and Jean and have that bonding moments. But Cyclops would ultimately push his feelings to the side and work on training the team, buckle down. Meanwhile, Magneto would prep his team for attacking a secret government project. And in a final showdown, Magneto would activate inactive sentinels at a government base and turn them on the military. The X-Men would fight the Brotherhood, protect themselves from the humans, defend the humans once the Sentinels start attacking them. Mimic would get killed by a Sentinel, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. Like I said, ultimately Quicksilver could be an illusion, but Scarlet Witch, and if her brother is an illusion, however you want to play that card, Scarlet Witch would have concerns about Magneto, showing little concerns for Mimic just getting killed by it. And Polaris and Scarlet Witch would discover their sisters, and they would turn on their father. The Brotherhood would get defeated, and a big battle showdown. And Havoc would switch sides during the battle with his brother once he knows it's his brother through Jean. That Magneto would get arrested. And I'd have it, where all the siblings like bond just to wrap up things. They return to the mansion. Xavier is awake, and his team is upset with the secrets. So characters like Beast decide to leave with Moira to pursue science and a cure. Angel goes with Beast to support and fund the research. Iceman leaves simply because his crush on Polaris. He joins Moira's team. And though there's distrust, Cyclops and Jean stay, proud of their accomplishment for mutants. And Cyclops would make a remark about what else does Xavier have to hide. And in the final scene, we would see that Xavier actually has been replaced by a shapeshifter, Morph. Now, in the comics, Morph was originally Changeling, and he died. They thought the Professor Xavier died, but it was actually Changeling, and he had been masquerading as Xavier for some time. Now, there were a lot of fake out deaths of Xavier, but I would have it turn out to be Morph in the end, and you could bleed that into another film. The running themes through the movie would be like Cyclops' nightmares about losing his brother and family that he would have sessions with Xavier about, Beast being a known jock, but having a love for science and wanting to to not be a mutant. Angel interested in funding a cure. He's got the money, Iceman having feelings for Polaris, who is introduced later in the movie, but is dating Havoc. Xavier having kept Havoc and Polaris a secret. Scarlet Witch's concerns and questioning of her brother's loyalty to Magneto, his anger, and Magneto's movement in itself, as well as Mastermind and Toad annoying with her with come on attempts. Angel would be responsible for a lot of the funding that Xavier and Moira's institutions have, and there would be a large focus on siblings, brotherhood throughout the film. And I'd even call it X-Men the Brotherhood, something to that effect anyway. Probably Uncanny X-Men the Brotherhood, or I don't know. I'd make X-Men the Brotherhood of Mutants. Maybe I'd just call it the Brotherhood of Mutants. But I think that would be a really respectful way to approach the X-Men universe, to go with the original team and kind of have most of them disband in the end, and introduce characters like Mastermind, who was part of the original X-Men. And you're doing this by introducing them through already established MCU characters, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And like I said, Mastermind, he's one of those characters that come up later in the whole Hellfire Club, Phoenix Saga type stuff. Eh, so this could easily, in my opinion, this would be the best way to go about it. You have all these classic characters, and by introducing like Polaris and Havoc, you also get a chance to branch off already into spin-off type movies. And but Disney, they keep on talking about all this diversity and inclusion. So I mean, I think they would probably just skip right over the original team, much like the X-Men movies that Bryan Singer did. Just skip right over the original team somewhat, to a degree. But I would try to structure it in order, like build off the foundation. In the next movie, I would go ahead and introduce all those characters like Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler. The way they did it in the comic books is the way I would approach it. So it would be very respectful. In the second movie, you would have a new team going to save the first team and get to know those characters. You know, there are there are several there are dozens of ways you could literally approach making the X-Men. It really, I mean, I prefer comic book accuracy to the closest degree that you can get it while still being surprising and introducing. And, covering as much ground as you can, but still don't jump ahead of yourself. You've got something here that you can work with for like 20 years. You can have a steady continuity and build it. Really just put the effort in and the focus. But that's I would like to hear other people's opinions, how they would go about doing X-Men movies. The first installment, particularly, if they would like to see the first team, or if they would just like to jump all the way to the more popular characters and stuff. Like my my introduction to X-Men was the '90s animated series, and then I got into the comic books, and I would really like to see my favorite characters, Gambit and Rogue, uh, but I wouldn't want to jump right into them. I would really rather build off the ground, build off the foundation, and those those X Men movies really, they did not do justice to X Men. Cyclops was trashed, never treated respectfully as he should have been. He should have been a main character. Uh, There's a lot of things I would have done differently, as you can see. That I'd like to hear everybody else's opinions. How would you go about building your own X-Men universe? What would you do differently? What would you want? And I think this is really an awesome topic of discussion, and I really want to hear other people's opinions. So subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, comment. Let me see what your ideas. I'd really like to, and stay awesome. Rock on.